In the class, we're going to show you how to get started with your looping assignment, your card game assignment. I should cut that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a border on there. Once I put the border, if you watch, Gavin, the border, see how underneath the brush category, there's the background and the border brush. Do you have your border selected? I'm going to go with a nice bright blue. And then I'm going to change the border width, border thickness, which is going to be, that's layout. I don't know where the border thickness is, so I'm just going to type thick. Oh, border thickness, I have all these different numbers. I'm just going to change the number right here. I'm going to make it so it's really nice and bold. 4. Okay. And then inside my border, I'm going to put a text block. So I just drag and drop the text block inside my border. I'm going to need to give my text block a name, so I'm going to give it right now. I'm going to call it TB card for text block card. And then I'm going to throw a button on there. Your layout is going to match the assignment. I'm not doing the full assignment layout. But this layout is just going to be illustrative of what we're trying to do. I'm going to call this button Go, BTN Go. And his text is going to be Go. So this is not entirely illustrative of the assignment, but you're going to get the idea, hopefully. And the text in my text block, I'm going to change to be nice big 48-point font, because I can. And to see how numbers look, I'm just going to put a hashtag in there, also known as a number sign. Oh, I want that nicely centered. Remember how to center stuff in a text block? Say center. Okay, this is looking great. It's not center. We'll be fine. All right. So I've got the basic layout of what I want to do for showing you how to create your deck of cards. I'm going to just bring this down in size. All right, this is beautiful. So now I'm going to double click on the Go button to create a button click event handler. All right, this is where you're going to tell me what to type. From the worksheet, I think it's on the back of the worksheet, that last question, how do we create our deck of cards? We need to create an array. What's the array type going to be? Int. Where should I create the array? Should I define the array inside the button click, inside where we begin the program, or in global space? Global space is the right answer because we want it to be around for the whole duration of the program. So I start by typing int. What do I need to follow int with in order to make it an array of integers? The square brackets, those guys. What shall I call my deck of cards? Cards? Deck of cards. I'm calling it deck of cards. What else do I need to type on this line? Equals what? New int 20 in the brackets. So this is creating 20 storage locations, 20 integer storage locations, right? And they are numbered from what to what? 0 through 19. With arrays, the very first slot is always slot 0. So the last slot is one less than the total length. So it would be 0 through 19. Now I've created all these empty storage slots. In reality, they all have 0 in them. But I need to fill them with the numbers 1 through 20. What do we learn from the worksheet that tells you how to do that? I'm going to do a loop. Where should I create the loop? Right here? Can I put real code in this area? No. So if I can't put it here, the global space is really just for defining variables or defining methods. So I need to initialize or fill in my deck of cards with the numbers 1 through 20. Should I do that when I click on the button Go, or should I do that when the program begins? Okay, so program begins is the right answer. We're going to put it right after initialize component. So I'm going to put a note to myself. I'm going to say create deck of cards. This is just a note to myself of what's going on here. So in reality, I've created this. Before I get here, I've already created the storage spaces. Now I'm just going to fill in the storage spaces. What kind of loop should we use to do this? Okay, 4 is a really good answer. It's the one that I would use. I'm going to show you doing it a couple of different ways. So we're going to do I'm going to do a while loop first. So I'm going to type while, and I hit tab twice, and it creates this while loop. So I need some kind of counter to count for me as I'm going through the numbers 0 through 19 to fill in all of those slots. And I'm going to say, well, while the count is less than 20, now here's a pro tip. My deck of cards, because it's an array, I can say deck of cards dot length. What do you think that will be? It'll be, what's just the value of this integer? Deck of cards dot length. Deck of cards dot length is going to be 20. So I could put 20 here, or I could do deck of cards dot length. In good programming practices, you would do the length approach. Now inside here, how am I going to fill in the slots in my deck of cards? Do you remember? It's on your worksheet question number 4. Anyone? Huh? So I put the name of deck of cards. I in that. Do I have an I in my world right now? I'm using count. And what you have in your assignment is something like that. And then because I want to loop again, I'm going to do count plus plus here. So we start count to be 0. We say is count less than the length 20. It is, so we're going to say the 0 slot is going to be equal to whatever the slot number is plus 1. So the 0 slot is going to get a 1. The 19 slot is going to get a 20. This is creating my deck of cards. Count plus plus just simply says go to the next one. If count is still less than the deck of cards, this is one way of creating the deck of cards. Okay, I'm going to show you the for loop way. Is that all right? The for loop way, I'm going to type 4, and I'm going to hit tab twice. That creates the skeleton. So what do I put here for length? Deck of cards dot length. Okay, I'm practically done. And then I do the same thing that we did before, only this time we're using I, and it's I plus 1. So that's the whole of creating the deck of cards. It's probably similar to what you used for question number 4 on the worksheet. Easy? Not a lot of code there yet. Now the Go button, I want the Go button to just simply go through the cards and display the cards one at a time. But right here, after I've created the deck of cards, I want to display the first card. And inside here, I want to move to the next card and display the card. Because I'm going to be doing a display the card here and here, I'm going to create a method that will display the card. Right? Otherwise, you will lose points. We're going to use the skills that we've learned. So I'm going to create a method to display a card. So I'm going to just say display card. I'm going to type as though the method exists. It doesn't exist yet. But I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to call it display current card. We're going to talk about what current means here in a second. So I go to this little light bulb over here, and I say generate a method for display current card. Now it has created this method with this throw not implemented exception. It means basically replace that with what do we want to do to display the card. First off, before I answer that question, I'm going to take display current card and put it right here because this is going to display the current card. Now I need some index or counter or something that's going to, as it were, point to the current card in my deck of cards. An integer that will be the index into my array that says we're currently at card 0. Oh, now we're currently at card 1. Now we're at card 2, card 3, card 4, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go back up to the global space here. I'm going to create a new integer. I'm going to call it current card. This is just an index or a pointer, if you will. It's just tracking where I am in the deck of cards because the storage locations remain the same. I'm just simply changing what's telling me which card I'm currently on. And so before I say display the current card, I'm going to say, hey, well, the current card is going to start out at card 0. I'm going to say current card is equal to 0, which tells us that we're going to display the card in slot 0. So to display the card, it's just a matter of my text block is equal to the item from my deck of cards in the slot indicated by current card. So I would do deck of cards. I do the square brackets. What would I put inside the square brackets? If I put 0, it would always display the first card, right? And so I'm going to put current card because that's the guy that's going to be displaying. Now it's complaining at me, saying, hey, this is an integer. This wants a string. How can I make this a string? So I can say convert dot to string and put parens around the whole thing. That will take the integer that's in the slot indicated by current card from my deck of cards and display it. So the last little piece of the puzzle, how do I move to the next card? Down here where it says move to the next card. Before I display the card, every time I click go, I want to display the next card, display the next card, display the next card. increase current card. How do I do that? Current card plus plus. That's the easiest way. Let's kick this off and see if it works. It'll take about 5 minutes for it to compile. So this is showing a couple of good things. First off, it's showing that the first card is the number 1. That's what we put in the first slot. Or the 0 slot is the number 1. And so if I start just hitting go, I should just see these incrementally going through my deck of cards. Right? And they're all nicely in order as it was planned. What if I click go one more time right now? I've displayed my last card. What happens if it's going to crash? Because why does it crash? I have slots 0 through 19, and I've displayed the card or the value in slot 19. And so if I say, hey, current card plus plus is going to go to the number 20, and it's going to say, hey, print out what's in the deck of cards slot 20, and it's going to say, oh no, there is no slot 20. And so if I hit this right now, I'm going to get an exception. Takes it a second. It's saying, hey, index out of range exception. Index was outside the bounds of the array. The array is 0 through 19 because that's how big we made it. And we tried to go one beyond that. At this point, your only choice is to hit this red stop button. So how can we protect ourselves from that? Okay, so we want to disable the button after we've displayed the last card. Okay, how do we disable the button? Or how do we determine we've hit the end of the deck? Ethan whispered, when you get to the last slot, isn't that what you said? Yeah. More or less. So I'm going to put an if statement right here. So I've just displayed a card, and now I want to determine, should I stop? So first off, if you remember, to disable the card, the button, you say is enabled on the button, and you say false. So the condition here is going to be based on what current card is. So current card just displayed the last one. So current card was 18. It changed to 19 with this line. We displayed the card in the 19 slot, which is the last slot. And so now we want to say, hey, if current card is equal to 19, double equals. If current card is equal to 19, then that means we've reached the end of our deck. If I want to be a real slick coder, I wouldn't put 19 here. I would say deck of cards dot length minus 1. Huh? So this is deck of cards length is 20. And I say, hey, if we've reached the 19 slot. So now let's try this. If I just start hitting go, I just displayed the last card and the go button disabled. I don't think you need 4 days to get this assignment done, but I've given you 4 days. That's December 4th will be 4 classroom days. So, I'm going to stop here. Any questions before I stop the video?